shit. I was gonna say you did not.
Looking at dirt.
Oh, why you? Oh, damn. Up to there then. All right. Then there you go.
Okay. Oh, you just bumped out.
Hey,
Hey, what?
Izzy J, honey.
And that is.
Oh,
Yes.
funny part. Spin it in. All right. Let me sit my fucking ass down.
Right?
Relax his ass on you.
Yeah, my sis relax.
Anywho, boo.
Yeah.
Welcome to Twitch and TV.
Well, we bring the multifarious shenanigans.
Raw and uncut. Okay. So, before we get into this interesting topic, we're going to cheers because swine wants to stay somewhere today. Okay?
Hump day.
Hump day. A little tizzle.
What?
Get ready. That's really not. Oh. This is definitely some Shiraz.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
What? I forgot the brand.
What you mean?
The name. Company.
Oh,
No.
yeah. Anywho,
Boo.
so
Okay, the topic
for
today: genetics.
okay, genetics, and it was just like interesting the way this whole topic came about for us. So it was like, oh, we need to do a little more research, and then we can like bring to Channel C. You know,
First, we're talking about different dog breeds.
oh yeah, because we've had all kinds of dog breeds. It was having that conversation with our mom, and then I started like thinking, I was like, okay, so because we're basically talking about how when you
certain dogs already have certain conditions that come with them, like meaning be
health wise,
problems,
especially health wise
yes,
for dogs.
but when they start mixing, when the dogs start mixing with other dogs, that means that when their
sometimes they're
born,
higher risk for more things.
They have more health problems than the average dog.
That's why a lot of puppies don't make it. You know, it's a lot of kittens that don't make it. You know, sometimes because the parent just like, fuck this. You think you can touch my dog? This is mine. I'm gonna take it away. Type shit. And it's graphic, but that's just how they do. That's really animal tendencies. So. And so when we were thinking about that, we was like, okay, well let's take it a step further. Let's talk humans. Okay, so it was like, well, we know for sure it's a lot of people doing that now, doing a lot of mixing with each other, aka breeding with one another.
Interracial.
But you know, and most of the time it's not because of good reason. A lot of people love to throw in the love is love thing, but at the end of the day, when you're living in a society as such, especially with that white supremacist mindset and that anything lighter is brighter and better, you know, for any and everybody, and it's really not. You know, that's how a lot of people are going to think, especially those that get treated wrong systemically. You know, that has an effect as well. So when you decide to intermingle and, you know, mix it and mingle with those, you got to think about that through all aspects. Okay. And so that when we're thinking about that, we was like, okay, well, I know that they say your blood type is a big key factor for things. And so
it can play a big role whether you can help somebody besides you that has the same type blood as you. It don't matter.
Okay,
you can do many things.
When we thought about that, we was like, okay, well, we know O is one of the most dominant genes, and that stems from the Eve gene, and only melanoids have that, that gene, and that's the only race that has that gene. And so when we think about that, we're like, okay, well, we got to think how did type A come about? How did type B come about? We already know what type O comes from, so. And so when we did that, it was like, okay, let's do a little research. And it was like, okay, type A is most known as, it can be stemmed from wolf, but it's European,
the European
and Scandinavian. And so when you think of type B, that stems from old wild monkeys in present day Pakistan and India. Okay. And so when we thought about that, it was like, okay, well, A and B together, blood, that defect happened 6,000 years ago. That's how the Caucasoids came about. Okay, so when you think about that, the Caucasoid only manifested because of the evil thoughts and the manipulative ways that somebody thought about. And when they thought about that, they manifested that. So they manifested those people, all non-melanoid beings, aka non-blacks. So it was like, damn, okay, so if O was the most dominant, if melanoid being is the dominant trait,
it can't take away, right?
You can
nothing
can put into the original, but we can give to all clearly, which has been done throughout history. Just like, and so there's evidence for that. You can look on the Red Cross, online. When it comes to blood types. Look that shit up yourself. There's books on it and everything. So, and it was like, damn, okay, so European DNA comes from animals. Like, damn, okay, DNA cannot override the mitochondrial Eve gene, which is the black gene, which is the melanoid gene.
Type up.
And only black women carry that, And so I was like, okay. Thinking about that, then we come about how people love to say, well, everybody comes from black people, and that's not really true because that's not how it really started. No. That's not how everything started. And so you're like, okay, well, we know that they're a messed up experiment because it manifested. It was a defected type of genes that came about, AB. So you're like, okay, shit, this is how this comes about. But it didn't stem from something good. At the end of the day, that's where we're getting at. Everything started off from a thought.
Okay. Everything is mind based, comes from your brain.
Okay, which is a big thing. And another big thing that a lot of people these days don't really know, but they like to flip it and say that you only get your genes from your father, when that's a lie. You get most of your genes
the egg
from
and
your
then
mother.
Takes the
Exactly. So
to make the child.
Okay, the womb man, the portal. Okay. So it stems from the mother, okay? And so when you think about that, you're like, okay, so if your mother has that African blood, but if you're non-black, you're going to get your ideology, cultural instinct, and all that shit from your non-black parents. So especially if it is coming from the mother that isn't, is of non-black descent. So that's how that shit comes about. And then you start thinking about, okay, well, these days, they push it, especially to people with our skin tone, the melanoid beings, that they are lower class and everybody else is above them. And so, you have people that grow to hate their self, especially if their complexion is more close to the ethers, okay, more hue to it, more pigment to it,
or more to be better for the sun. Their skin is more better for the sun. Everybody else, they'll get, I can't be in the sun for more than 30 minutes. I don't want to get too dark, quote unquote. That says a lot.
That says a lot. Okay, you need the sun. And the fact that that is more people wanting to get rid of their self because of self-hate, but they say, and that's another thing that I had to look further into, and I was looking through a few websites, and it was talking about like diversity and interracial type couples and their thoughts and everything that goes with that they have to deal with, because
and there's
at
three
the end of
main
the day,
things that they all say.
you're not supposed to be mixing if you have a dominant gene. Because when we started thinking about that deeper, we was like, okay, well, if you think deeper spiritually about mixing and thinking that you can be combined with other people that you shouldn't be combined with, you're like, you don't know what kind of karmic debt they had in past lives. Not only that, their ancestors brought about. You're mixing with that shit, and that shit can be brought upon your fucking kids, your generation, because
generations to
you're
come.
not. A lot of people aren't knowledgeable that they're not healed. You know, that they have narcissistic, big ego tendencies.
The first thing is acknowledging that you have it.
When you take accountability.
Take accountability, acknowledgement. Then you can start at least growing from that.
So, I mean, everything, you got to think deeper. Like, you really can, because a lot of people's genes aren't as pure as those of the original beings. And then that's why, and then most of the time back then, especially when it came to slavery times, it really stemmed from your great grandmother, great grandfather being a fucking
either
coon.
or.
Exactly, and that's how you have that defective gene in your bloodline.
When people be saying, "Oh, I have it down to, I have European down my line," or something else down your line.
You really can't have that down your line, like especially if you're a black household. No. They want y'all to think that, no, that's a fuck up from your great grandparents or whatever that didn't like their self and wanted to be farther from black and close to white as possible. Then they're going to do what they have to do. And that's exactly what they did.
Aspects.
And it's unfortunate thinking, because that's the type of shit that's been passed down to our people. And so they think, okay, especially for those men that only date light skin or better. And they had there was a quote I seen too when we was online, and it was with what's his name, the one that did that movie,
who
School was it not School Days? Is it School Days?
Spike Lee?
Yes. Okay. And they was talking about it on the show, because back then they used to have these conversations because they knew it needed to be talked about.
But nowadays, everybody's closed off to it.
They're more sensitive to those topics and think that you're hating, that they don't want to be with their own kind, than actually getting to the root of shit. Because everything is deeper than the fucking surface, and a lot of hoes is surface level. So y'all don't know shit because you're not taking the time out to learn. Not saying that we know everything, because we actually take the time.
Learning.
Every day is a learning experience. If you're not learning, then something's wrong with you. That means you're not evolving, and you're gonna be stuck and stagnant.
You're supposed to evolve.
Okay.
And if you're not, you're gonna be forced to.
And the quote that he had made, it said, whether black men admit it or not, they feel light-skinned women are more attractive than dark-skinned, and they'd rather see long hair than a short afro, because that's closer to a white woman. That comes from being inundated with media from the time you're born that constantly feeds you that white women and anything white in that image is better and more beautiful. That's both conscious and unconsciously. But on the while, talking to my friends and knowing men, I see that a premium is put on lighter complected sisters with longer hair, or those of European descent. So, I mean, everything is stemmed from, especially if your grandparents weren't taught that they are beautiful and they are
to love
what the image of love really is, then of course they're going to be finding that in other places, thinking that their own race don't love them, so I might as well go look outside of myself, because that's the only thing that's going to accept me. If you don't love yourself, ain't nobody going to love you at all. You can't find love with somebody that doesn't even love themselves. So y'all can think that's love. That's really not. Because at the end of the day, most people have hidden agendas till they're quote-unquote love. And then another thing you could think about, because I was going deeper into that when I was looking on the blogs, a lot of women, black women and white women that dated interracially, that made a blog about it, especially those in universities, they were saying how, then this was the main key phrase that I seen on all the websites, and I was like, okay, damn, like, this is fucked up. The main thing that it said, and I'm gonna quote you from one of the websites, exactly, because it's pretty fucked how far people go just to make it seem like something is what you need to be doing when it's really not what you need to be doing. Diverse and healthier genes in biracial children. the benefits of interracial marriage, quote unquote. That's what they said. And so when you think about that, you're like, damn. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing that makes you want to have somebody of darker complexion to be in a relationship with and breed with. Just so your kids can come out a certain way,
so they can be more athletic,
so they can get y'all money at the end of the day. Because that's the key thing. You want that money, and that's what it's gonna bring you. And that's a pretty fucked up way to think. That's the only reason why there's so many fucking lost souls in this fucking atmosphere there is today. Everybody isn't human. Everybody, you don't know who you're around. There's all types of beings within this damn realm.
And they've been here.
Okay, longer than anybody that you can imagine. Okay, it starts in the 5D.
And that's why there's so many different galaxies and portals.
Okay.
Dimensions.
So many. That's why it's up to more people to start self-educating themselves, start learning more about their history and their bloodlines and what kind of debt they have, and especially karmically, because you mixing with the wrong people can bring on more harm than good. So, I mean,
you should be elevating and bringing more good to the atmosphere and to others.
Okay. Everybody else do it. Why can't more black people start doing that shit? What the whites call them. More of our kind need to start getting it together. The images that they push out on our people, because they always want to show the destruction of our people,
but don't show the good.
Okay, there's more of our people out here trying to do better, which is the key at the end of the day. Doing what you're out here to do, your main purpose.
You do what you love.
Okay,
then good will come to you.
Okay, but that was just something we thought about. It was like, this is something we need to talk about.
Because more things need to be talked about like this, because other people aren't talking about it.
But before we leave, I do want to break down the different forms of racism there is, and the quote to go with it afterwards. Okay. Types of racism. Number 1, interpersonal racism. Okay. Prejudgment, bias, or discrimination by individual towards a person of darker complexion. Institutional racism. Implicit, explicit rules and regulations within an organization that discriminates against a marginalized communities. Constructural racism. Biased laws, policies, or practices that restrict access to services, resources, and opportunities based on race. Something they've been doing to our people forever. And they try to lie to y'all saying that y'all got something to say about reparations, this and that, and y'all have nothing to say about that, because none of y'all have gone through the shit that people of melanoid being have gone through.
You all got money for coming down to the U.S.
Okay.
If I gotta pick this nigga's dog shit up, I'm gonna throw his motherfucking shit at this motherfucking front door.
Oh, what happened, Mom?
What happened, Mom?
I'm not playing with this black ass motherfucker.
Oh my goodness.
This shit is not funny no fucking more. You let your fucking big ass dog. I'm gonna get these niggas up here. Look at this big ass shit.
Your mama is crazy as hell. Okay, last one. Internalized racism, something that a lot of our people deal with. Okay. The internationalization of the racist stereotypes, values, images, and beliefs perpetuated by the society about one's own race. Okay. Racism, bigotry, and white supremacy do not die off with time and passing generations. It is inherited and transferred. Some people are more concerned about protecting a world that benefits their children than they are about dismantling a world that harms ours. Okay? So we're just going to leave y'all with that.
Okay.
Y'all have a great rest of your day.
And the good rest
Be
of the week.
productive and
Okay.
safe, you know. And we'll talk to you later.
Later.
You buddy. Oh my goodness.